This is Detective Coley, acetylcholine. Uh-huh. We're on it. We got a 187 on the 8th floor of Geisel. Let's go check it out.
Yeah, let's go.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Wow, what a nasty scene.
Yeah, it appears the victim was a fourth-year frog at UCSD.
He appears to have an extreme wound over his gastrocnemius muscle. What is this that's sticking out of it? Is that an arrow?
We probably should bring this to Kelly for further testing.
Yeah, great idea. Let's send it off for forensic analysis.
Yeah, poor Alfie. Could have been somebody.
Could have been somebody.
Hey, Kelly.
Detective Succinylcholine. What can I do for you today?
Well, here is the murder weapon for the homicide of Alfie J. the Fraud.
There's been a homicide.
Yes, we were hoping you could run some tests on it in addition to the autopsy so we can find out what happened to poor Alfie J.
Absolutely. Give me a few days and I'll have the results for you.
Alright, I'll see you then. I'm back. Hey,
Hello,
Kelly.
Detective. Well, I have some results for you. I have the autopsy of your victim, Alfie J. here.
Alright.
And it appears that he has died of acute toxic poisoning.
So that arrow wasn't just an arrow.
No. It was definitely poisoned. According to the toxicology reports, we found high doses of verapamil, succinylcholine, and curare in his system. That these drugs had on the NMJ, I dissected out the sciatic nerve along with the gastrocnemius muscle and placed it in this nerve chamber, as you can see here. And what I did is I used a scope application to study the cap and map amplitudes, and as well from this I was able to determine the synaptic delay in his system.
What does that mean?
So I can't tell you for sure because I'm only familiar with verapamil. I work with it here in the lab. For the other two, which are muscle relaxants, I'm going to have to refer you to my anesthesiologist friends at Scripps Hospital. But I can tell you a little bit what I do about verapamil.
So why is it not verapamil?
So verapamil is typically known as an L-type calcium channel blocker. So it's usually found in cardiac muscles, smooth muscles, and what it'll do is it'll block calcium from influxing into the cells, and then it'll just decrease excitation and contractions. However, where the victim had the wound on this, with the neuromuscular junction, there is no L-type calcium channels. So that means that rules that out. However, based on these results here, we did see a decrease in function in the NMJ, which kind of concerns me. So I did a little bit more research, and I found that verapamil, has other effects. According to the research that I did, verapamil can actually affect the nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, which are found on the skeletal muscles. So what they'll do is they'll decrease the channel time opening, which will allow less excitation of the cells. And in addition, they will decrease the amount of current through these receptors. So this will lead to a decrease in synaptic function by decreasing the amount the muscle can actually generate action potential, and it increases synaptic delay.
So what does that mean for Alfie?
So for Alfie, that means that the NMJ would be less efficient. However, it's not enough to kill the NMJ. Also, in addition though, verapamil can have presynaptic effects. So the presynaptic cell has PQ-type calcium channels, which are, not L-type calcium channels, but it's still possible there's some cross-reactivity going on that verapamil could potentially activate these receptors, and they could also have some downstream effects, which would then also decrease synaptic transmission. So, unfortunately, I do not think that verapamil is the cause of death here, but I can point you in the direction of some friends at Scripps Hospital to go over succinylcholine and curare with you.
Well, alright then. I'll be on my way.
Deuces.
Hello, Jake. Hello, Coley. I am Detective Stanius.
I am Detective acetylcholine.
And we are here, Kelly sent us to ask you a few questions about the results of our autopsy report from our murder victim.
We were just hoping you could tell us a little something to help us make sense of these results. We found that there was both succinylcholine and curare in the body. we saw with succinylcholine that there was a decrease in the maximum map amplitude and a decrease in the synaptic delay. Can you tell us or help us shed some light on these results? Well, yeah, we both work with succinylcholine and curare because they're both drugs that are commonly used with anesthesiology and surgery as muscle relaxers. So I can tell you a little more about succinylcholine. You are correct, it would have the effects you saw in the autopsy report with the decrease in map amplitude. This is because succinylcholine is an agonist for the nicotinic muscle acetylcholine receptors on the end plate. So it's essentially just two acetylcholine molecules joined together. So that's why it can bind to those receptors. But what happens is it's not degraded by acetylcholine esterase. So it will have a prolonged effect on those receptors and thus a prolonged depolarization. But what we don't know, and the mechanism that isn't understood yet, is that this depolarization is then followed by a desensitization of the receptors. So this would cause a decrease in depolarization and then that decrease in the map amplitude that you saw in the autopsy report. Can you help us figure out what happened with the synaptic delay? You also saw a decrease in synaptic delay that would just show that the succinylcholine also binds to the receptors, and because it's not broken down by this acetylcholine esterase, it can more readily bind to the receptors, thus decreasing the synaptic delay time.
Okay, and is there anything you can touch about on curare for us?
Okay, so we work with curare here a lot, so pretty used to the effects that we have. It's a nicotinic muscular acetylcholine receptor blocker. It's an antagonist that affects or blocks it competitively. It acts in two different mechanisms. It will block it both at its channel opening, keeping the pore closed, and it will also just block the binding site and won't cause activation. So what happens in this case is that it won't affect synaptic delay at all. It will just cause the same response time to occur, but there won't be a response from the muscle as seen as effectively. Still, some acetylcholine will bind to the site, but it will be a much less drastic effect than if it was just by itself.
So, do you think either of these could have been the cause of death?
So, while they both can be lethal in higher doses, funny enough, we did see some curare missing in the last few days, and we have a research assistant here that does go to school here, seems pretty stressed about finals. Might want to go ask him a few questions.
Thank you for your consultation.
Let's go get the perk! How's it going? Am I contact presume?
Yeah, what's up?
Were you studying at the 8th floor of Geisel today by chance?
Yeah, what's it to you?
SDPD, I'd like to ask you a few questions. You work at Scripps Hospital, right?
I think I'm going to need to speak to my lawyer.
Just asking you a few questions real quick. You work at Scripps,
Yeah.
so you have access to some pretty lethal drugs like curare.
I'm going to have to speak to my lawyer.
I'm gonna put you under arrest. Excuse me, sir. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of mandates.